everybody. Welcome back to another week of Tuesday Talk with Deanna. Today, we're going to be talking about Twitter. This is where, honestly, I started, and I got away from it and hopped on the Facebook bandwagon. But every
Yeah,
now and then, I hop back over to Twitter. Well,
it's
I
fun.
I know, right? I have a very dear friend of mine, Dariana Lozano, who is a total rock star on Twitter. Like, you're killing it over there, and I'm so jealous.
Aw.
Dariana, how are you?
I am doing great. Missed you. We haven't done this in a while.
I know it has been way too long, and we need to do this on a more regular basis, get together and just
Yes,
talk whatever social media.
agreed.
Before we even get started, though, I have to congratulate you. You were just listed as one of the top 100 digital marketing influencers.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank
How
you.
freaking cool is that?
I mean, I know, I just didn't expect it. Listen, it has to be mostly from Twitter, I think. I'm gonna attribute it mostly to Twitter. Yeah, I just engage and do things, and it was really. I made the list in 2020, didn't make it in 2021, and I'm back on the list. So it's really exciting to be back on the list. I
That
fought my
is
way
awesome.
back.
I was so stoked when I saw that. I'm like, she is
Thank
a total
you.
rock star. A total rock star.
Thank
But
you.
you are doing so much on Twitter.
Yeah.
So, and I want to hear all about it. But
Yeah.
before we do, first off, have you been consistent with Twitter, or did you get away from it and then get back to it?
So I've been on Twitter since like 2009, I want to say, and it was like on and off, but I'm constantly on there. Even if I wasn't tweeting, I would be on there because, news breaks first on Twitter. Like, it just does.
Yes.
I find people are like, "How do you know about this?" I'm on Twitter, duh. Like, I see it all. It's trending. So news breaks first on there, and it's just easy to find information. And so even if I wasn't active, I would still be part of the community or just like creeping. um, but more recently, in the more recent years, yeah, I tweet all the time. I tweet, and I can be myself on there. Like, I tweet random thoughts, and just because the network is so fast, you can say things a lot throughout the day. Like, you can tweet once an hour and not annoy people. So I just love it there. So I am consistent. And I've been doing some new things recently, which I'm excited to talk to you about.
Yes, I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to
Yeah,
hear it. I will say, I will share before you get into like all the juicy stuff.
yeah,
I agree with you that I can be myself on Twitter.
yeah,
And right, to be fair and honest, and anybody can go to my Twitter page and see what I tweet,
yeah,
but I will tweet whatever I'm thinking, whatever I'm dealing with.
yeah.
And a lot of times I'll go, if I can't get in touch with a business through their phone line, I'll tell you what, you go to Twitter and you get like a response immediately.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm having a little fight with Delta right now.
Are you?
Yeah, long story. You know how it's just crazy right now, but they lost my mom's bag, and my bags. Well, not my bags. My mom's bag. June 6th, she flew, and so I was tweeting at them, and they're doing their best, but it's still
She still
lost.
doesn't have it.
Still doesn't have it. So now I have to fax a form like it's 1987. So
Uh, I know who faxes anymore.
I was like, wait, where do I go do that? Like, I don't even know. So I'm like, Mom, you have to give me a couple of days. Like, let me just I'll figure it out.
Right,
But
right. Maybe
yeah,
like a Kinko's or
yeah, I know. You know Twitter is also great for if you need to get in touch with publishers or people who write articles for publications, like,
oh,
any big news outlet. They tend to be really active on Twitter, and you're right. Like, I think because you're not getting as bombarded with messages, it's easier to contact people through there and like get their attention.
I was just in a Twitter space the other
Yeah.
day, which I wish I could make more of those. And we're going to talk about what a
We're
Twitter
going to
space
talk
is.
about that. Yes, we need to get into that because that's one of the
But I
things.
was just in a Twitter space listening in on the conversation, and they were talking about that. They were actually talking about getting speaking opportunities.
Hmm.
And they were saying,
Absolutely.
this is a great opportunity. Whoever the organizer is,
Yeah.
use Twitter to reach out to the person organizing that. I've not done that. I have done my own search and reached out to
Right.
things that I've been aware of, but I'm like, this is genius. Why haven't
It's I know. And it's like it's just one of those things that, you're on there tweeting and you're like, wait, there's a lot of, authors on here, or like people just aren't getting as bombarded. Even on LinkedIn, I can't tell you that I've looked at my inbox too often because I'm overwhelmed with like all the sales the past 2 years or 3 years. Actually, I feel like I've just been bombarded with like all these sales things in my inbox. It's not like
Yeah.
that on Twitter.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So let's talk about these Twitter Spaces, which is
Yes.
totally new and super cool. But
So
what
fun.
is a Twitter Space?
So Twitter Space is a voice only chat room, you would say. It's like Clubhouse, but on Twitter. And it's voice only, so you hop in and you can actually chat with people. And it's like a fireside panel chat, I would call it. So you have your speakers, and then everybody else listens in. And if the host wants to, they'll invite people up to speak. And it's one of the things that I've now been in. I've been a co-host in a Twitter Space for over a year now, and we do it every Saturday, and there's just been so much growth even just with doing that one space. It's not, and I'm just co-hosting, so it's I don't like own the space. It's not
Right.
per se all mine, but I feel like it is. Not
Yeah.
all,
Well, but
but
that's a
I feel
good
very
thing. That's
part
a
of
good
it.
thing to,
Yes.
yeah, to take some ownership of that because it's
Right.
important to you.
Right. So every Saturday for about an hour, the main host, her name is Madeline Scalar. She's amazing. I call her the Twitter queen. So her and I and George Silverman, who's like, he wrote the book on word of mouth marketing. So we all not critique, but we help people kind of tweak their Twitter bios in order to bring them the followers that they're actually looking for. And it's amazing. Like last week, we had a little bit of a, what do you call it? Like a focus group
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it was amazing to just hear the feedback. And a lot of people said that it's a community. And we do have people that come back week after week after week. And I am absolutely loving Spaces. It's much better than Clubhouse.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too because I did like
Yeah.
Clubhouse when Clubhouse
Yeah.
launched. I loved Clubhouse. I was like, this is the coolest space because it is in real time, and I can listen
Yeah.
while I
It's
was
different.
getting ready, and
Mm-hmm.
it was really cool. The reason I got away from Clubhouse was because all of a sudden, people who were supposed to be these experts completing, creating like
Yeah.
these groups were giving just blatantly wrong information. And I was
Yes.
like,
And it
"Oh
was
my
like
gosh."
rampant. It was rampant. Yeah. I haven't
Yeah,
been on, I can't remember even the last time I was on there.
right. So it was really hard to know who really knows what they're talking about and who
Yeah.
doesn't without listening in and wasting time to
Right.
listen, and then you'd hear stuff.
Right.
But Twitter Spaces, it's easy to know who. I mean, you can look at their profile, you can look at their following,
Yeah.
you can look at their previous
And it
tweets.
works so seamlessly when you're in the room. I felt like Clubhouse felt a little clunky, like to get
Yeah.
to people's profiles, whereas on Twitter it just worked better. And they actually just released something new, where there's actually a Twitter thread, like it creates like a thread, so people can be in the space, but they can also write into this little thread that's happening. And not everybody has it yet. We luckily do have it on
Oh.
our Twitter space, and it just adds so much more to the conversation as well. Because if you don't get to talk, like, or if you're just in listener mode and you don't want to, sometimes you're shy, even though no one can see your face, like you're still shy, or there might not be time. So people can share their thoughts in the classic Twitter format that we all love, which is within tweets. So it's really, they're expanding. And I think it's just, if you haven't checked it out, try it, listen in on and there's spaces about everything. They also just revamped the where you discover the spaces. So the spaces tab has a new search visibility, which they didn't have even several months ago. So now you can type in a topic and you'll see all the spaces that are happening or that have passed. You can listen on old ones. So there's so much you can do. There's so much
That
you
is
can do.
neat. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I didn't realize that. And I love the thread because the space that I was in yesterday, they were saying something. Well, they were talking about
Yeah.
speaking, and that it's okay to say ums and ers. And so, and being that I'm in Toastmasters now, that drives me crazy. I
Yeah.
acknowledge a couple of them, but not a lot of them. And I couldn't help myself. So the
Yeah,
person
you
who
had to
made the
say it.
comment, I just tweeted him directly and probably offended him. But I'm like, hey, there's Toastmasters, which will really help you get control of
Yeah.
all those
I
ums
worked
and
with a speaking coach, and
yeah.
I had to work on it really hard because it's hard to not try to fill in that silence. But I agree with you. It's more seamless when you don't. I mean, I still do it every once in a
Yeah,
while.
I
It
think we
slips.
all do for the most part,
Yeah.
but if
You
you're
can
aware
work
of
on
it
it.
and you're working
Mhm.
on it and you're being either coached by a
Yeah.
speaking coach or you're in an organization that helps
Yeah.
you improve your speaking capabilities like Toastmasters, then you learn how to avoid that. And
It definitely makes what you're saying more powerful if you're not and like or there's all these different phrases people use to
Yep.
fill in, but I agree with you. But see, that's the beauty,
But
like
see, I got to yeah, I
you
tweeted
can express
him
yourself.
individually
Yeah.
where that thread that you're talking about would be great because then I wouldn't have had to say it specifically to him.
Yeah,
I
that's
could have
rolling out. It should be rolling out to more people. I know that not every host has it. You kind of have to see if you have it. So luckily our space does, and it's added so much more dynamic to it. So it's really fun. I think if you haven't jumped into spaces, try it. If there is no space about your topic, that's a great opportunity for you to jump in and create that and just be consistent. I mean, we started off with not many people listening, and now we have like 100 people join, and we get replays. So it's, again, with social media, like how everything is, we know organic reach is down and everyone gets really frustrated about it, and I totally understand, but it's not an overnight thing, and definitely not now. You just have to keep going. And I know that's
yeah.
annoying to hear because we've been in the shoes, I with all the clients we work with, I'm like, just keep going.
We say it all the time, like don't stop, right?
But
So who
that's
can create a Twitter space? Can anybody or are there certain
anybody.
credentials?
No, I believe I don't know if this has changed recently. You did have to have a certain amount of followers to be able to do it, and it's escaping me what the number is right now. So I'm not sure if that's changed, but if you do have it, you can. I think it's low. It must be like they don't want just like a bot account to create a
Right.
space. So if you have 0, they're probably not going to let you. But I think the threshold has been brought down. It used to be 1,000, but I think it's brought
Okay.
down since then.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Mhm.
And do they monetize that or
So they did start. You have to qualify to be able to monetize them. So you have to host at least 3 spaces, and there are like 2 other requirements, and then you can monetize the spaces. And I believe that there are 3 tiers. So the highest one I believe is like $10.99.
okay.
Actually, that's subscriptions. Sorry, I think you can add it whatever price you want. Sorry, Twitter subscriptions is like a whole other a
What is
new thing.
that?
That's like, so people can subscribe almost like a newsletter from you, so they'll get exclusive content from you. You also have to
Okay.
qualify for that and submit for it. And that one has tiers. It's like $199. The highest is $10.99. So it's almost like I don't want to call it an OnlyFans, but it's Twitter's way for
Right.
you to be able to monetize uh, special content that you share with your audience. But that's a whole.
That's right, but that's good to know, right? So if you
Yeah, and
are
they're
building this
expanding.
audience,
Yes, there's just so many. I think Twitter's just putting, like any network is, they want you to spend more time on it. So they're giving people different ways to make money. So yeah, so you can have a ticketed space. I don't think there's a cap on the price, but then it's up to you, what you want to do with that, whether that's, so maybe we want to take our profile consultations a little further and like give you a full hour. So that's a way that if you don't have like a payment system, people can find you and easily purchase that from you right there.
oh, that's cool. That's true.
Yeah.
That is kind
Yeah.
of something unique you can do. So if you're just starting on Twitter, how do you grow your following? Or maybe you've been on Twitter, right? Maybe you've been on for a while, but you've never
Yeah.
really tried to grow it. How do you grow that Twitter following?
Start with your bio. It's really important to really specifically lay out who you are, who you help and what people are actually going to get from following you. Because sometimes we have like a lot of people will come to the Twitter space and they have like marketer, engineer, puppy lover,
Yeah.
and it's like, and Twitter's totally somewhere where you can express all that, but you don't need to do it all in the bio. You have such limited time to capture someone's attention, and people are selfish and they just want to know what's in it for them. So tell them.
Right.
You have 160 characters. So you're kind of limited on space. So it really forces you. It's really an exercise in like your elevator pitch or your like one-liner to get people in, your statement, your mission statement, whatever you want to call it. So I would start there and then just be active in the community. Literally join Twitter chats. There's Twitter chats about everything. Spaces is a great way to grow because when you're sitting in spaces, you're clicking on everybody's face. At least I go through to see who's there.
I do too. I did that.
Right? So I'm always like, I'm clicking over there. So make sure your profile by picture is clear and colorful, and that you don't necessarily need your face, but that if it is your face, it's like close because it's so small when you're in spaces. And make sure your bio is right because that's really all you see when you click. You have to do like a second click to really see someone's feed. So the quicker they can get info about you, the better. Those are the main things I would do if I was like starting over from nothing.
Okay. So yeah, and you do, if somebody's interested in having their bio evaluated, that's what you do in your space is you kind of put people on the hot seat.
We do. Yes, we do. That's happened. Yeah, and that happens every Saturday at 1 p.m. There is a list, but sometimes people don't show up or their connection might be bad, so they can't really, participate, and they'll let us know. So it's a really fun space. But if you need more one-on-one help, I can do that as well. But yeah, it's been amazing to watch people like go through the process, and I think that is a process we're all going through anyway, right? Like,
yeah,
figuring out what your statement is, who you are, who you help, and what you offer them. I feel like that's always something you're working on. I mean, even with your Carbon Silk, when you rebranded, I'm sure that was a big part of what you were thinking about. Like, who is this going to appeal to?
Yeah.
The name,
huge part.
Right.
Yeah, it really was, because I know it was appealing mainly to one, and I still am, but not so specifically. Like the majority of who I'm speaking to are definitely women entrepreneurs, without a doubt. But I was almost alienating the men, and that's not the case because I do have male clients as well. So I wanted to speak to both of them, even though if you look at the content I put out, it is mainly geared towards women.
But that's okay. I mean, but that's part of niching down as well. And like, for example, my bio, I just changed it recently again, because it's constant.
You know what? I was going through mine too.
I'm constantly tweaking. So now mine is I empower women entrepreneurs. So it's like, it's okay to narrow that down. And I think your rebrand is amazing. I love it.
And thank you.
I told you that before, but I love it. It's so good.
Thank you so much.
It speaks to the woman who's maybe not as girly, or
yes,
I think you're nailing it there. But yeah, it's just really taking a look at what that essence of your brand is so important. And when you do this bio exercise, like, it really forces you to think about that and narrow it down.
Yeah, I should have had mine pulled up so you could put me on the hot seat.
You can pull it up. We can pull it up and do it right now.
Let me see. I don't even know if I have to.
This is fun.
This
is exactly what happens on the space. So we're giving you like a video version of what happens.
Yeah, right? I'm like, and honestly, I don't even know how long it's been since I've updated this. I could probably add more. Okay.
Is it the carbon underscore silk?
It's carbonsilk.digital, but I'm going to do a screen share.
Oh, that's fun. Do it that way. Yeah.
Let's see. Not that screen. If it'll let me, let's see. Window, Chrome tab, Twitter. Let's see if I share this. Can you see it?
It's really smart, and I look like your parents on when you FaceTime them and they're so close to the screen. So it's your Deanna profile. I'm gonna bring it up on
Go ahead. In fact, let me see if I zoom mine in a
Deanna
bit.
Fasila. There you are. Okay.
I zoomed it in
Yes.
to see if that
Okay.
helps.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it on my browser, but I'll switch back and forth.
Okay. So
All right.
this, yeah.
So
I mean, I'm
putting
looking at it
Deanna in
and
the
I'm
hot
really
seat.
honestly embarrassed.
This is so impromptu. We had no plan to do this. This is what happens when you put me and you together.
I know, right? But
But
let's give a real life example of what I'm doing wrong, and maybe what I might have done right a little
listen,
bit.
no one's wrong, because this is another thing. Everyone thinks social media, is there a right way? What am I doing? What can I do? What's gonna make me go viral? There's no right way. It's whatever is working for you and your brand. So
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna find anything wrong per se, but we can zhuzh things up and make them a little more interesting. So your profile picture, I love this picture, but I would zoom in so that your face is closer, because this is the
Okay.
one that you would probably, if I was in a space, I would struggle to see your face. And you have such a beautiful smile. You look great, but I would just zoom it in a little bit more.
Okay.
And then let me just read through your bio real quick. No, I love this. I help women entrepreneurs simplify the chaos of digital marketing and grow their business. Nothing needs to change there.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. It's so good.
Thank
Um,
you.
and I know, I mean, you're just leading to your website here. I mean, your website is here, where you're from, or like where you're located is there as well. Unless there's like a freebie or something that you're offering someone, you can stick that in there.
Okay.
You can add more of a call to action. Follow me to blah blah blah. So I help women entrepreneurs simplified. Like, follow me for tips or for insight, or you can add a little bit more of a call to action, or maybe just, or even like just this sentence you can turn into a call to action.
Okay.
If you're a woman entrepreneur, follow me. I'll help you simplify the chaos of digital marketing and grow your business. Also, grow your business. This is something that I have to work on myself. It's like, what is grow your business?
Oh, that's
Right? I listen, every day, this is an everyday struggle for
yeah.
me. And I'm like, what does that mean? So I landed on finally landed on more leads and sales, but that's not jiving
Say
with
that
me as much
again.
anymore. Leads and sales is what I use.
Leads and sales.
Yeah.
I would,
But
to
I don't
me,
feel
grow my business is to find financial freedom, or not just
yes.
financial freedom. It's also time freedom, right? To find
Mm,
freedom
there you go.
in your
That's your
life.
homework. Find freedom in your life. That could be, yeah, who doesn't want freedom in their life? As a woman
Right?
entrepreneur, I want freedom in my life. That's why you start a business, essentially, is because you're like,
Right.
I don't, stick it to the man. I don't want to work for, I don't want to be in the office 24/7.
Right. I want that freedom. I want that financial
Yeah,
freedom. I want that time freedom.
I love that.
And I think that's what growing your business is about. It doesn't have to be $1 billion business.
No,
In
it
fact,
doesn't.
I just tweeted Gary Vee, one of his quotes that he said. I think I saw it on Facebook or on Instagram, and he liked it. He was the only person who liked it, but
That's
I was
fun.
like, but he just said that, right? It's not about
Yeah.
having this $1 billion business. It's about loving what you do every single
Yes,
day.
absolutely. Because if you have enough to cover your expenses and also do things, whatever things might be for you, whether that's a vacation or just to sit and do nothing, or explore other
Exactly.
creative outlets, like that's all people really want at the end of the day. So those are the tweaks I would make there. Otherwise, that looks good. And then
Awesome. Well, then I've
the
got a little bit of homework to
uh,
do.
and it's a process. It's something that I also like. I'm gonna redo my bio and all the things there too, because it's just, after a while, sometimes it just doesn't feel like it go. Like you get bored.
I get it. I do get it
And
because
it's
there's
good to
always
try. Yeah, and it's good to try different things because different keywords will pull in differently. The only other thing is your header image.
yes.
I I don't hate it. It tells us what you do. Like clearly you're on a computer. But if there's anything you're promoting, this is a good area to put it in. I saw that the carbon silk has some words
It
up in the
does, and
header area. So you're
it
familiar with
does.
that concept. So if there's anything, I don't think you need it, but if there's anything that you might be marketing that's coming up soon, the header is a good place to put it. Or maybe for some people, they're doing so many things that the bio is just not enough room. So they'll use that top part to either break down more what they have, or like for example, Madeline Scalar, she has several Twitter spaces a week. So she has hers all listed in her header image. So you can go
Oh,
on and see, oh, she hosts, I forget, All Things Audio on Wednesday and Twitter Audits on Saturday and this other one on Monday. So she has them all listed with the times there. So there's so much you can do with the header. And
okay.
I
All
also
right.
have
I
just a
like it. I
picture.
like it. You're giving me some ideas. I mean, I can put that we do this every Tuesday,
Yeah.
or I can even put that
You can put a pin
statement, I
tweet.
help women entrepreneurs simplify the
Yes.
chaos, even
Hmm.
in the image, as long as it's not
Yes.
too wordy. But
Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
you've got me
And
thinking. I
then
was planning on updating my Facebook cover, but this too, I clearly
yeah.
needs done.
Sometimes we just need a little update. And then there's also the
Yes.
pin tweet. My pin tweet goes into my story. So people land on my profile and they see this first tweet that's pinned there, and it's
I'm going
who I
to.
help. Yeah, it's who I help. I just recently added the bit with the Digital Influencer 2022 into it. So if you click on that first tweet, you'll see that
Oops.
it continues
Oh, and I've been seeing a
into
lot
a,
of this on Twitter lately.
yeah,
People are doing these threads. Do these threads help with your reach?
they
Is that why
do.
it's
So
happening so often?
I think people just want a new way or a way to express themselves past the 280 characters, and threads are a great way to do that. Also, when you add a new tweet to a thread, it brings the whole thread back into the feed for people. So it's a way to get
Okay.
visibility back to that original tweet. And that's what I've done there. So people can kind of get my story. When I have something that I'm promoting, I'll plug it into the last tweet there. So it was before it was I recently did a 3-part video series. So I had that, if you want to learn more about using social media, like here's my video series that's coming up. But I recently deleted that last tweet and added the tweet about the digital marketing influencer. So there's so many things you can do. It's just another way for people to get to know you past, like, okay, she's New York City's social media consultant and she helps women. Like, what else? Like, why would I follow her? And this just lets people get to know you a little bit more.
I love this. And I love the fact that you explained everything that you do, but then you also pinned it
Yeah,
up at the top.
it just lives
Now,
there.
how do you pin? How
So,
would you pin your tweet?
so you
Do you
go
go, well,
to the 3 dots.
I probably have to go back to my profile real
Yeah, go
quick. So
back to your
let's just
profile,
say I wanted to pin this. Oh, and there it is. I can just pin it
pin
right
it. Yep, and you pin it,
to
and
the
it lives
top.
there. Yep, and it'll stay there until you unpin it. And another cool thing you can do is that you can quote tweet yourself and then like stick it in the thread. And there's just so many. Twitter gets so crazy. So you can like take an old tweet and link to it in the thread, and it'll like pop up with the old tweet within the new tweet.
Okay, wait a minute.
That sounds really complicated. Let me try
Yeah,
an
wait. Yeah.
example.
I'm like, we're gonna go back to an old thread. All right, let's see here. You can see like this
Let me
is
see if Madeline has. No, she hasn't done it in a while.
all right. So let's just say we'll just do this one. So here's this tweet. So I take the URL from it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then do I have to actually just click on it and then copy the URL?
Yeah, copy the
Okay.
URL.
So we're gonna copy this. I'm gonna get out of there. And then what do I do?
So hit tweet, so you like can compose a new tweet.
And then paste it in there?
Yeah. And then you can write whatever you want about it, and then when you tweet it, it should pull that old tweet.
All right, let's see. Let's see.
Watch it not work because we're doing this.
Okay, so it
So
did.
there it is, and then you can create a whole thread out of this.
Ah, very
on
cool.
top of that. So that's a way to like expand and like if so let's say you're doing you want to promote the Carbon Silk the Tuesday Talks.
Yeah.
But you want to still let people know about you. You can take the link from your about thread and say, we're doing Twitter Talks with Dariana this Tuesday, but link to the old thread so people can still get that, background on who you are and why they should listen in on Tuesday Talks.
I love that. I've learned so much already. I'm like, so much has changed, but it's changed for the better.
So much has changed. There's a lot of new things. I think Twitter is and they really listen to their fan base. If if enough of us get together and let them know, I've worked with a Twitter representative who was working on so they were working on remember TweetDeck?
Oh yeah.
So they were working on, whether or not they were going to improve that or what they're going to do with it. And so we had a chat about it. And so they're always open for ideas, especially if you're like a beta tester for one of their products. They're very open to ideas and such. So
that's so neat.
I love Twitter.
It's so funny because Twitter taught me everything I know about digital marketing. Before I even wanted to get into digital marketing, I was on Twitter and I was part of a Twitter chat that I jumped in. I didn't even know what a Twitter chat was.
You're like, what is this? Right.
And then I hopped in and it was a little bit of chaos in the beginning. Not because they were chaotic, because I didn't know what was going on.
Yes, Twitter chats are a lot. If you don't know what's happening, you're like, what?
Yeah, so it was kind of confusing, but there was such great information. I was just learning how to market my business when I was selling cake pops. And that's where I would go to Twitter and I'd hop in on this group and I would learn from all these different people. And and it was just really, really cool. And we actually, everybody that's in that chat, we still stay connected today on Facebook and Instagram. And some of them have been on the show. Some of them we become just friends.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Right. I think it is absolutely really cool because you can, people are like, I remember when social media first started blowing up and people were like, they can't be your friends if you've never met them in person. But I'm like, they actually can because that group back in the day on Twitter, helped me so much.
And they've watched you grow now, if you've kept in contact with them, they've seen all the iterations. That's amazing. And that's the thing. People on Twitter are so willing to help. Anything you need to learn, someone's out there. I will tell you, let me teach you what it is you need to know about, XYZ. And it really, I think that's why I've always been drawn to Twitter because there is a sense of community there. Whereas on Instagram, it doesn't feel like I can have a conversation. Whereas on Twitter, you can, and you can have these discussions and it can be a little confusing. Sure. If the first time you hop on a Twitter chat, it's very overwhelming, but now with Spaces, we can talk to each other and have those conversations and it just brings a little bit more life into the network, the life that was always there. I mean,
right,
the one place where you can search and find directly people talking about exactly what you need to look for.
Yes. Yes to all of it. And one tip, if you are in a Twitter chat, if you've never done a Twitter chat before, there's a hashtag that goes with that chat. Just click that hashtag and follow not all of it because it'll put the most popular one, but follow the tab that says latest and it'll put all the most recent.
Yeah, that's the way I do it too. Actually, I usually have 7 tabs open when I do
Twitter you really?
Well, I have to have the person that's moderating. Then I have my notifications, and and then I have the tab that you just talked about with the latest, so I can keep up with
Well,
everything
that
that's
makes sense.
happening.
Then you can
Um,
it's easier to follow
that's why
because
it
then
feels
people
so
start
chaotic.
you know what, it does, but then when people start, like, commenting and asking you
It
questions
gets,
or
yeah,
agreeing with something that you tweet, then it's like, "Oh, wait, I just got a notification, like, somebody just said
it's,
something to me, so
yeah.
where"
Or you have to like ignore, especially if it's I've been on like slow Twitter chats and faster ones, and the faster ones, especially when like you're the guest on there, oh my god, you have to just like ignore. I don't even have the notification tabs open for that one. I just like ignore it, and I have to pay attention to like when is it my turn to chime in after they ask the question. But
Right.
you get so much value from those talks, like you said, you connect with people, you create these friendships, and really like they're real friendships, just because you don't see it. I mean, I haven't seen you in years, but we still like keep in touch, and we know what's happening in each other's lives and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's, I think that's silly to think people can't have friendships from
I
not seeing
know,
each other.
right? I absolutely agree. So, do you hop on any Twitter chats?
So I've been so busy. I've always like mean to. Um, Twitter's smarter. If you really want to learn about Twitter, Madeline Sklar has a great Twitter chat, Smarter. You will learn a ton, and there is a community there. Like people show. That's one of the fast ones. That's one of the ones
Yeah.
that gets
Good.
super overwhelming. So I do follow
Twitter's
that
smarter.
one. Yeah, and she has all types of guests, people that do branding and authors and just like all different types of people who are using Twitter. So it's nice to see all the different viewpoints and the people that chime in and also give their answers or their you just get such a range of different views, and like you think about it, just makes you think about what you're doing differently. Like I said, social media is not a one size fits all. There's definitely nuances for every business, and I like getting new ideas, so that's one that I keep up with. The Social Media Today used to have a Twitter chat, but I've just, like I said, I've just been like so busy, I don't even, if
Yeah.
it's not in my calendar, like I completely forget that it's happening at all.
I
um
know. I agree
it's
with
so
you.
hard, but there's literally a Twitter chat for everything. You just do a quick search and you'll find people having Twitter chats. There's a lot of entrepreneurial ones out there that I think are helpful. I can get back to you with a more of a concise
Yeah.
list, but those are
That
the
actually might be a really cool post, is just all
yeah.
the great Twitter chats.
There's a lot. I think Adweek does one as well, which is fun. And there's like the brand chat. There's so many.
So, if let's just say that somebody wanted to start one of these groups, whether Twitter
Yeah.
chat or start doing a Twitter space,
Hmm.
which one should they do and
Ooh,
why?
that's a good question. That's such a good question. I think for ease, spaces, because it's so much, it's like click a button and then click another button and you're off. You're
Yeah.
live, you're talking. I think for ease of use, definitely spaces. There's also like the shiny new object that Twitter has, like how Instagram has been pushing reels, and now it's
Yeah.
like you post a picture and they don't show it to anybody. They're like,
Yes.
oh no pictures, don't mind this, take a look at this reel. I don't think Twitter does that as much, but people are actively searching for spaces to be part of and have a chat in. So I would say spaces. I do love Twitter chats. If you um, are not the type of person that does well in like a live format, then I would do a chat, because that's, you can plan it ahead of time, right? So you say, all I'm doing is 5 questions, and that's what I'm going to have people answer. And you can have a guest come in and you can send them the questions ahead of time. Always send the questions ahead of time so they
Yeah.
can prepare. And then that way you're guaranteed kind of that someone's there with you, and it's not as, I feel like there's not as much of that, oh, everyone's looking at me kind of pressure when you do things live, which I know some
Right.
people can be scary. So I don't even like going live sometimes. But so Twitter chat, if you're not so great on lives or you're trying to just like dip your foot in. But if you're the type of person that doing a Twitter chat sounds like a lot, because you do have to be present in the moment in a different
Yes.
way than with a space, because you have to pay attention to Okay, you put the tweet out there now. Did that person, the one that was supposed to respond, did they respond? And if anyone else is responding, if you're leading the chat, you usually want to retweet them or interact with them to keep the chat alive and going. So there's, you have to be active in different ways. So I think you have to, I'd say, participate in one of each to see what's
To
more
see
your
which one you
speed.
like.
Yeah, but
That's
it's just
fair.
things to consider. Yeah.
Well, I know Twitter, I'll get notifications when there's a space.
And that too, right? So that's very
So
useful.
they're telling me, hey, like
It's starting.
so and so, somebody that you follow is having a Twitter space. That's how I'll hop on yours sometimes
Yeah.
and listen in because I get notified because I don't know.
That's the nice thing. Yeah. The nice
Yeah.
thing about Spaces is that they've built it into the system, so you get the reminders. With a chat, it's on you to promote it and get the word out. So that's something, definitely, thanks for bringing that up. That's something important to consider.
How much time do you think you spend on Twitter?
Oh my gosh. I should look. Doesn't the phone, I'm gonna sound so old, but doesn't the phone track how much time you spend on like specific apps? I need to
It
look.
does.
I need to look.
It does.
I'm in there constantly. It's like anytime I get a break, I'll like refresh my Twitter to see if anything's happened or like what's trending or if there's news that's been, that's broken during the day and there's anything that we need to be updated on. I'm looking. I also like get notifications and chats and things like that. So I'm constantly, I'm always on there.
Always on there. So I've heard like on Instagram and some other platforms, it said don't follow people who are your ideal clients. Like follow people who you really want to follow.
Yeah.
Don't feel like if it's an ideal client, you should follow them. On Twitter, does it follow that same thought?
I think so. Because what you're going to get in your feed is tweets from the people that you follow. Do I think that's a bad thing to follow your ideal audience? No. But then you also have the option to create a Twitter list so that you're not
let's talk about that because I love my list.
Always something, right?
I love my Twitter list. Yeah.
So Twitter lists are a tool that you use on Twitter and you add people to the list, but that doesn't necessarily mean you follow them, but it creates like a thread, like another feed basically with all the tweets from the people that you've put on your list. Is that a good way to?
I think it is. I really do because I actually have a list called Social Media Rock Stars.
Love that.
And I have not opened this list in a long time because right?
I'd
like to see who my rock stars were 10 years ago.
You gotta clean them up every once in a while. I have the same list.
And see if they're still rock stars to me. But then I would also have one that was just friends where it was just people I was staying in touch with or different. So I would just see that if I clicked on that list, that's the only tweets I would see so I could respond or see what was going on in their lives and comment. But then I can go back to the social media rock star list.
Yeah, it's a great list. It's a great tool for even if you're going to an event. I would put in like the speakers, or if there was anyone that I saw that said I'm going to be at X and X event, and I wanted to like either connect with them or just stay up to date what they were doing. Some people are like really great at tweeting while they're at events, so they keep you updated with what's happening. So I'll put that person on a list, and it sends them a notification, so they know that they've been added to your list. So you get, it's like a little way to wink at them, but without really following and get their
I'm watching you. I think you're worth it.
Right, exactly. Unless it's like, if it's a private list, it won't notify them. But if it's a public list, then it will. And when you go in, you can see the options are there very clearly, whether or not you're making the list private or not. And it's a way to connect without actually having to follow. So that's what I would do instead of following everybody, because then like your feed just gets crazy. And when I first joined Twitter, of course I'm like interesting, and now I'm like, oh, I don't. So now when I see tweets, I'm like, oh, I'm unfollow. I go through it that way. But save yourself the headache and just follow people you really want to follow, or brands, or companies, whatever you want there. And then everybody else just pop on a list, because you can always delete the whole list or take people off. It's much simpler than having to find people and unfollow them that way.
So one of my favorite brands to follow
Yeah,
on Twitter is Wendy's.
of
Do you
course.
follow Wendy's?
I'm sure I do. I do. I don't see their tweets all the time just because of, I guess, with who I interact with is what pops up in like my main feed,
Yeah.
because of their algorithm as well. But yes, I do follow Wendy's. You know, that person has, they definitely have one person who does that full time because they are constantly tweeting. They're always coming up with fun things to say.
They're so
Um,
snarky. I love how
so
it's snarky.
snarky. So snarky. I love it. If you need a laugh, if you're having a rough day, then it's like take a 5 minute break and go on the Wendy's account. You'll find something to laugh at for sure.
Yeah. Who do you love, like, when you need a break from the real world? Like, is there a brand that you go and you check out and you either laugh or you just chill out and relax, or you
I
feel
find
entertained?
myself like dog accounts, like
Do you?
like on Instagram, like the ones with like the good news movement is one of them with like the, the heartfelt videos. But yeah, I like looking at like puppy account.
Well,
It's a very good
you've
thing.
got a puppy who's what, about a year old now?
He's like a year and a half. Yeah.
Hashtag. How
Yes,
is
his name is
hashtag doing? You gotta
Hashtag.
love that name coming
He's a
from like,
menace. He's so cute though. No, he's very smart. I love him. He just, he's my first dog. I never had a dog before, so it's been fun to watch him. Like, it's almost like a baby. Like all of a sudden, he like does something new or has a new preference, and I'm like, where did you? How did you get a preference? Like, where did you get this from? It's so funny. But he's great. Yeah, he's running around. He's with my fiance out there now, probably bothering him.
oh, and congratulations, because you just got
Thank you.
engaged at the
I
beginning of the year
did.
too. I mean,
Yes.
this
Yeah.
is 2022.
2022.
It's
It's
been
been a
your
ride.
year.
Yeah, it's been a ride. I'm having a great time. After the pandemic was tough, we
Yeah.
work with a lot of companies in hospitality, so that we took a hit during the pandemic, and that was hard, and we made it. We made it through, and I'm sure you felt this, but coming back was almost like overwhelming because everybody was like ready to go.
Yes.
And I think the people that didn't have social media or social presence during the pandemic took a look and saw, oh my gosh, like there's more value in this maybe than we thought. And everyone's kind of ready to bring it back and be on 100%. And I think they have a different understanding of the power of social media and digital marketing. And it was kind of like, whoa, where did everybody?
I would agree. It's been
Yeah.
crazy. And I think it's exactly for the reason that you just said.
Yeah.
The pandemic hurt a lot of small business owners. It was a tough time for a
Yeah.
lot of small business owners who I think the ones who had the hardest time were the ones who weren't utilizing social media to the
Yeah.
best of their ability. Because you could see
Right.
it. We could see it if they would close. Like, you could go and you can look and see. And not everybody took it seriously prior to that, in their defense. But now when everything's back to normal, yeah, I think everyone's like, I better make sure I protect myself. Like, I better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And again, social's not going to be like, it might not be. I don't know. For some companies, it really does help with sales and how their business is doing overall. It's not always the end all be all of it, but it definitely helps. And it has, you're opening the line of communication and there's a way to reach people. And so I'm glad to see
I am
it.
too. Yes,
I'm
I am
happy to
too.
see it because I feel like we're always like shouting like it's important, and people are like, nah, is it? But I think now it's more like, okay, I see it's important. Like, how can we work within this budget, or what can I do, or what's available? And it's definitely I felt a very big shift happen very quickly, and that's saying a lot for people that have been in this industry like over a decade to see that happen so quickly.
Right.
After like so much time of us being like, do it. We're
Yes.
telling you it's a good thing.
I know. And they're finally listening.
Finally. I know.
So what's
Definitely.
next? What is next? Do you
I
have
don't know.
anything?
No, I actually recently It's funny you say that. I felt also with the pandemic, I kind of just personally felt burnt out with posting and keeping up and blah 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 the things. So I took a step back and I'm kind of just in rebuild mode, I would say. Like I got rid of my old email list, like I'm starting over, starting the habit of getting, I started off with a challenge to post in my Instagram stories once a day, every day, just trying to keep, build that momentum back
Right.
up. And I don't know, I feel like I'm just in a place of just starting over and seeing what I want to do. The
Yeah.
agency still has, we're still keeping up. We have our clients, but even that I feel is evolving. Um, I feel like we're just working with brands in a different way. Um, and even with this Twitter space that I've been doing, it's like we help people kind of narrow down what that big vision is. And I think that's
Hmm.
so different from just doing social day to day. So I'm trying to figure out what that is. How to,
I can appreciate that. I think
yeah,
that's important to do every once in a while. Is just
yeah,
slow down and regroup and make sure you're on the right track because,
right.
we do go 100 miles a minute trying
Oh my
to
God.
stay on top. There's a lot of platforms, and these
Yeah,
platforms are changing
all the time.
quickly,
Yes.
quickly, quickly, where I feel bad for young adults who are going to college for digital marketing because they're coming out and it changes way too fast.
So fast. I'm sure things that you did 2 years ago are like completely irrelevant at this point. No,
Yeah.
seriously, I tell people that all the time. And so I think even the role of the social media person has kind of shifted where sometimes it's like, I can't create this content for you. I can tell you what to do, but like you need to be a part of this as well. I think it's kind of balancing out. I also think that people are kind of tired of having to keep up with social, both from our side, like the
Yep,
marketer side.
I would agree.
Marketers are so burnt out, but I think that consumers are also kind of burnt out because everyone, you have to follow everyone and keep up with the brand. And so I just feel like there's this big shift coming. I've talked about this before, but I just can't stress enough how I feel like people are just overwhelmed and tired. And I feel like a shift is coming where it's really going to be more about like the quality of the content, putting thought into it. And I think it's always been like that for me, but there was this whole thing where it's like, oh no, just put the content out, put the content out, put the content out. And I don't think that that works necessarily anymore.
I would agree. I would
You,
agree. And what
yeah,
you just said too about people are burnt out and you try to follow everybody and you try to do everything.
yeah,
Yeah, you are speaking to me. I feel like that too sometimes. And I do. I have to pull back and
yeah,
then I go full force again, but I need to recharge myself sometimes. But I
you do. Yeah,
that list, the Twitter list, I'm like, that's actually perfect because it helps weed out the chaos
it
and
does.
just allows you to
Yeah,
focus on what you want to focus on. So,
exactly. And even, yeah, you just have to find these ways. And I just think, maybe social media will turn more into like a website where it's like you find all the information that you need to find. I feel like people are using social more for search than anything else.
yes.
Like you go on for entertainment, but also like when I hear of a new restaurant or a new brand, I immediately like I'm already probably on Instagram or Twitter, so I'm just gonna use the search bar there to search for you. And we're seeing the networks kind of bend in that way as well. Like, Instagram came out with the keyword search, and now what you're using in your caption is actually going to help you pop up when people look for things. So
Finally.
finally, right? So for me,
Yeah.
that's a little wink towards it's not about the amount of content that you put out there. And I've kind of always felt that way. Like it's not like people just want the information. When I go on your Instagram, I want to know what you're about. Like I'm not, now they do the pinned, there's just so many new
Yes,
features on every
they're
network,
pinning.
right?
You can pin your
So
Instagram.
now
Yeah.
you can pin. They copied Twitter. they made it to the
Yep.
party. But I think that that's the shift that's coming, and you have to make sure that you're putting out the information that your customers need, and then kind of entertaining them and doing the fun stuff in between. But I don't think it's before it's just shifted so much, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where my head's at, is just helping people kind of figure out what those messages are, figure out what that good quality content is for them. And yeah, and then helping them put it out there the right way. So I don't, we'll see what that turns into.
Yes.
I know
Yes.
you're very familiar also with offerings and what's next and how that changes. I think we're both constantly in like a not constantly in change, but we try different things.
We do. We're not afraid to try different things
Right.
and get uncomfortable every once in a while and
Yes,
say,
yes.
"Will this work?" Let's throw it out
Question
there.
mark. Yeah, let's figure it out.
Who knows? Who knows?
Definitely. So I think I'm
But
in that space where I'm like, I don't know what it looks like yet, but I know that it's going to change. That's how I feel at the
I love it.
moment.
I love it. Dariana, thank you so much for joining me. If you guys are listening in, either listening live or on the replay, let me know you're watching on the replay. And I would highly encourage you to follow Dariana.
Thank
She's
you.
got her handle right there, which is on most everything. I think that's your handle,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, that's my
For
handle
Facebook,
across.
for Instagram, for
Yeah.
Twitter, find
Come
her on
hang out on
LinkedIn.
Twitter.
Come join her on Twitter. Hop in her Twitter Spaces, which is Saturday at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We run for about an hour. We usually get to review about 2 people, but there's a list. So if you're in there and the people that are ahead of you are not there, don't be shy. Come right up. We're very nice.
Yes. How do you get on that list?
So I think you can shoot me a DM, and Madeline also has the big running list. But if you send it to me, I can forward it to her, and she can put you on that list.
Wonderful. Dariana, thank you. Always fun
Thank you for
talking to
having
you.
me.
Yes, I can't wait to see you again. So
I know. We have to plan something.
Yes,
Travel's kind of hectic right now, but
I hear you.
hopefully
Thanks for
it calms
joining
down.
in.
Thank you for
We'll
having
see
me. I'll see
everybody.
you later.
Bye.